Yes, hello everyone, welcome back to Newcastle Fans TV. We are sponsored by One Football, who will be keeping you up to date with our weekend's game against West Ham down in Stratford. It's in Stratford, we'll say Stratford. Sorry, West Ham. Yeah, it's in Stratford, give over. Right, so have a look at the One Football app. It'll be previewing and we'll put in all together the articles with the predicted lineups and X ratio goals and all of that. So have a look in the One Football app. We're here with 40. Let's hope there's no controversy. I don't think there will be this time around. And we're going to talk about Newcastle's season so far, since there's a bit of a break without any midweek games. Thank God. It's not going to have a rest. But yeah, let's begin the start of the season. You know, you're playing against a newly promoted side who are making several of signings. Is it a good time to play them?
Well, yeah, I think they signed a totally new squad, right? 20-odd players. It's always good to get that out of the way. And we got off to a good start, right? 2-0 at home. Yeah, can't really complain about that, really.
Yeah, it was Fabian Schär, wasn't it? Callum Wilson with the goals. Obviously, two great finishes as well. Nick Pope having his debut, didn't really have much to do. If I just remember the lineup as well, it was Willock, Bruno, Joe Litton, obviously John Joe Shelby out injured for quite a period of time. It was Max on the left, Almiron on the right. And Callum Wilson as well. Would you make those two goals? Great goals.
Well, Fabian Schär's one especially, right? That absolutely superb strike. Somehow you kind of think, is he actually a defender? The way he actually strikes the ball is crazy, right? Like carbon copy of the Burnley goal, and obviously Wilson's goal as well. The way he just nipped in front of the defender as well, tucked it away nicely. And yeah, we just thought it was a good start to the season, which we rarely have. Like going back, thinking about all the seasons that we've had before in the Premier League, we rarely have a good start to the season, right? So it's good to get off to 3 points.
And then obviously Brighton, who are absolutely flying. Looking back at it now, looks like a great point. When I went down to the Amex as well, but we were second best. Obviously with Forest, we out-dominated them. We deserved the win. But are we lucky to come away from there with a point?
Well, looking back at it now, yeah, I mean the way that they dominated Man United, was it the week before, and the signings that they've made, the manager that they've got currently now, I don't think by the time this video goes out that he'll still be there, but yeah, it does look like a good point, and it was the Nick Pope show, wasn't it? You know, he pulled off some tremendous saves.
He went viral, didn't he? Just before
viral as well, and he lived up to his expectations. It's looking like good business at the moment in time with Nick Pope.
What did you make of the lineup? Because Matty Targett didn't make it, so Dan Burn was pushed to left back against his former side, and then Sven Botman came in to partner Fabian Schär.
It was good to see Botman in the centre of defence. Obviously, he didn't start the previous game. Dan Burn at left back, I don't mind it, but again, it just takes something away from that side of the pitch because he's not one to fly up and down the wings, is he? He's not like a Andy Robinson, for example. Not that Matt Targett probably is, but again, at least he's got more mobility. I think with Dan Burn there, he offers more assurance at the back, where going forward, obviously at set pieces, he offers something a different dimension, and at the back, he's solid as a rock.
Yeah. So 2 games in, 4 points. You're laughing. Bring on the champions. Come on, bring them on. Bring on Manchester City. I mean, just what a game. What an advert for Premier League football.
Yeah, you're spot on with that. Like, we were both lucky to be at the game. Me especially, because like I don't tend to get too many home games recently because of like everyone wants a season ticket now. But it's just great to see that, and part of me wishes that we could have held on for that when we was at 3-1 and that free kick from Trippier. I still see it in my dreams now, like top bins. Absolute scenes, but yeah, good point against the champions, and it just goes to show like how far we've come in that short space of time. Like to be thinking that they're lucky to get back into the game after only a year of the takeover, Eddie Howe being in charge and all the rest of it. It's crazy, right?
It is, and because you think about even Rafa, even Bruce, that would have been defensive football. We would have parked the bus, come on and come attack us, and we'll try and get a free kick, or we'll try and hit you in the last 10 minutes. But you talk about some of them goals. It was written for Miggy to score. I know we were waiting for Jack Grealish to be in that lineup, but he wasn't. But you knew he would score. Yes, I know it took a VAR goal to get over the line, but he scored.
Listen, mate, they all count. Wherever they come off your head, your knob, your shin.
I think Johnny was obsessed that day with knobs.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, yeah, they all count. And yeah, like you said, Almiron had something to prove with the whole Jack Grealish comments. The flags were tremendous that day as well. Special shout out to War Flags. I remember sitting behind that big Miggy flag at the time. But yeah, that was one of his better games, and I want to see more of that. You know, I'm always one to get onto him, I know, but I want to see that consistency because I know it's there. Like, be hungry. Maybe he needs that in every game. He needs someone just to kick him up the backside, just to kind of get him to give him that extra 10%, because we know it's there. He was our record signing for a long time for a reason. So I just want to see that more from him, but hats off to him. Like, he really shone that game.
Yeah, that was the equaliser, because remember we went 1-0 down early on for Gundogan. A bit of a mess up in the defence there, but Almiron scores, and another great goal by Callum Wilson. Again, it's a great counter-attack goal. I remember Alan Saint-Maximin, we interviewed him, was getting a lot of stick. Oh, why is he doing that? Why is he playing Pied Piper at the Metro Centre, going around? And what a performance he put in that day.
Yeah, like, I remember the scenes at the end. Like, I think Eddie Howe was consoling him. It's almost like he was gesturing to him, say like, look, you were the star man today. Like, you really like shone. And all that talk about, he shouldn't be at the Metro Centre the day before. Listen, he can go to the Metro Centre going for shopping if he wants. Like, if he puts in performances like that against the champions, he can do what he wants. Because by words, like, that was a top performance. Like, they couldn't handle him. He had Kyle Walker on skates the whole game, right?
Even Kyle Walker came out and said that afterwards.
Exactly. And for Kyle Walker, a serial Premier League winner, to be saying that just shows like how good this guy can be as well. And again, same with ASM. Like, we see these flashes of brilliance. I know sometimes he has his doubters, but he's dug us out of some holes sometimes. And like, we're so lucky to have a player like him in our squad.
Oh, it's a great finish by Wilson outside the boot. Into the corner, Newcastle went 2-1 up into half time. And then, obviously, you mentioned that just within 10 minutes of the restart, the second half, Kieran Trippier steps up, a former Manchester City player. You know, he was singing over the wall, and he's deadly now, isn't he? From there.
Yeah, that's what. It's like,
Did you think he was that good at free kicks?
Ever since that England one, you know, you got to fancy his chances, innit?
I thought he was good, but he wasn't like
prolific.
Aye.
Nah, I think he's got it in him. Like, him and Ward-Prowse are the top two for me, especially in the Premier League in terms of prolific free kick takers. And I always fancy him.
Really,
like,
you rate Trippier that high?
Yeah, why not? Like,
You've been positive. Are you all right?
Oh, please, Trippier, come on now. Like, I think that's his third one for us.
His third one in a matter of about 15 games or something.
Aston Villa, I can't remember the second one.
Everton, was it?
Everton, maybe, yeah. And then obviously this one. I fancy him. Like, yeah, just. And that by word, I was like literally behind the goal in the Gallagher end, top bins, couldn't get any more stanch if he tried. And yeah, absolute season. Like, that's the calibre that we're at right now. Like, so when I talk about this calibre player, I'm seeing it in front of my eyes now. I'm having like caviar in terms of like the sort of players that we have now. I don't want to go back to steak and chips now. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, our captain is an England international who scores worldy free kicks for fun. Like, so when I talk about, I don't want to sign this player, I know what we've got now, and this is the bar. The bar is that. So, yeah.
Unfortunately, we couldn't hang on. I mean, Haaland gets his traditional goal. I mean, he's just lighting up the Champions League and the Premier League at the minute. He's got 12 goals already this season, which is madness. But we conceded just 3 minutes after. A great pass by De Bruyne, and I think it was Bernardo Silva who slots home. At that stage, I thought we were going to lose it because it was all Manchester City. Just looking at the stats I've got in front of me here on my phone, they had 21 shots, our 12, and 69% possession. That's because they were trying to get back into the game second half and try and go on and win it. But we held our own, and you had Dan Burn at left back once again, so they could have targeted him. That wasn't meant to be a pun. Okay, that wasn't meant to be a pun. But can you blame anyone for the goals looking back now?
Probably. There's always fault for any goals, not just ours, but any goals. But the fact that we still got a point against the champions just shows the levels that we're at right now. So look, it's a point taken. People might say it was 2 point dropped from the position that we was in, but at the same time, they are the champions for a reason. Like, watching them there, it almost felt like a training ground game, like, in terms of they switched it on, boom, 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 3-2, boom, 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 3-3 sorry, I can't get my words out. So yeah, it's one of them, like, if it's against the champions, okay, cool, we got a point, it's one of them. I'm glad we held on.
Yeah, and then we had a bit of a break from the league. That was midweek away travels to Merseyside. Not the first time we'll be going there. Newcastle literally changed the side. We expected it. I'll just quickly run you through that lineup to jog your memory. It was Darlow in goal, Emil Kraft, Jamal Lascelles, Paul Dummett playing centre-back, Matty Target back in there, at left-back, Willock, Sean Longstaff, Elliot Anderson getting his first start for Newcastle, Matt Ritchie on the right, Chris Wood and Jacob Murphy. This is the time for people to come in and try and stamp their claim as I'm going to start for you, Eddie, next weekend. Did anybody come from that game saying, yeah, I'm the man for you? There wasn't. I'll say it for you. There wasn't.
Okay, there wasn't. I don't want to sound like, oh, he's hating again. Da.
No, there wasn't. I was there. There wasn't anybody that, whoa. Probably the bright spot, maybe Elliot Anderson. But
like you said, those sort of games are there for players like your Longstaffs, like your Jacob Murphys, for example, like your Chris Woods, to prove themselves. They know they're not going to be, like, if all of our team's fully fit, they're not going to be starting, let's face it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, Longstaff doesn't start over Shelby, Wood doesn't start over Wilson or Isak, and who's the other one I mentioned? Was it Murphy I mentioned? And Murphy doesn't start over ASM, and Almiron starts over him. So those are the opportunities for them to grab it by the balls and say, look, okay, Eddie, here I am now. I'm going to put in a worldly performance. And like you said, you were there. They didn't really shine like that. And this is the thing that I'm trying to get at. Like, past our first 11, our subs bench is like, we've still got a long way to go.
Except from that night, we did have a good squad on the bench, though.
We had a good squad on the bench because we left our first team 11 on the bench. But you know what I'm talking about, right? If it's our first team 11 and they're on the bench, when it gets to 70, 80 minutes and they're coming on, you're like, okay, let's see what we're going to grind out of here. So we still got a long way to go in terms of make sure that we've got that strength and depth covered. But yeah, like you said, Chris Wood got us through, but it was against League Two Tranmere, right? So let's not get too ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, and obviously we went behind, didn't we? If you remember, on the counter, then Jamal Lascelles.
We got popped off the ball on that goal.
Yeah, it was a good goal from their side of us. Yeah. But we got an equaliser fairly quick through. The bloody Jamal Lascelles was having it was in the wars that night, and as you mentioned, Chris Wood scored second half right in front of us. But there's a couple of injuries from that game, which is Emil Kraft, a massive serious one from there, 6 to 9 month. Eddie Howe's come out and said so. Yeah.
Jeez, no wonder he was in for Ashby from West Ham. I didn't know it was that long.
Yeah, that long. Eddie Howe's come out and said he's pressed at 6 to 9 months. So definitely Manquillo was going to stay. We knew that before the transfer window closes. And, you know, Bruno was brought on to try and just for Newcastle to win the game. That's why he's picked up his injury. Yeah. So that's why he was missing the next couple after that. So it's easy to say it in hindsight, oh, you shouldn't have brought him on, but, you know, you've got to try and get through. Yeah. Great to see Jamal Lewis get off the bench as well. Botman came on for the bloody Lascelles, and Kieran Trippier was the game changer. As soon as he come on, we score. And then he's
quality offers, right? It's just like corner kicks, boom, Chris Wood, thank you very much. Corner kick, Lascelles, thank you very much. It's just, that's what I'm saying. This is the quality, this is the bar that we set ourselves now. So we shouldn't be looking towards anything lower than internationals, I'm afraid to say. Well, not afraid to say, but that's the level we're at, right?
You changed the game. You changed the game. You literally came on, we scored, and you set up. Also, as I say, Chris Wood as well. But it's the influence that he's got in the dressing room as well. But look, Emil Kraft, it's a hard one for him because that's probably his best form that he's had this year in a black and white shirt. Yeah. But again, the game's come thick and fast. Another away one down to Sam's neck of the woods, which is down in Wolves. Yes, I know, Sam, you're not from Wolves before you comment. But yeah, it was a change again. A change. I'll run you through the lineups: Nick Pope, Trippier, Shea, Botman, Dan Burn, continue at left back. I thought Matty Target might start there, but easing him in slowly. Joe Willock, Sean Longstaff, Joe Linton, because there was no Bruno. And then you had Almiron, Chris Wood started, because there was obviously talk about our star Swedish striker, which we'll come on to we'll talk about him in the Liverpool game. And obviously Wilson was out injured, and Saint-Maximin as well. Not the greatest game to watch though, was it? No,
well, I didn't watch it, so obviously we'll get to the good bits, but I didn't watch it, unfortunately. But yeah, it didn't sound it at all. Obviously, Wolves took the leads.
That was a great goal.
It was a great goal, and even like the VAR decision one that nearly stood. Obviously, you know,
that was a blatant push on Fraser, though, wasn't it?
It was, but you know.
But if he gives that, that's game over.
Exactly, and VAR's not been our friend this season, has it? Let's face it. So if it does go in, that's 2-0. That's could be game, set, and match. So we've got to be thankful in that sense. As I said, VAR has been horrendous to us this season. But then ASM just pops up with an absolute worldie at the end and we nick a point. So, yeah, it's just...
We could have even went on to nick it. You talk about, that goal was just... Sam was in awe and all that, and he was like, "What have I just witnessed?" and all that, and it was just a great hit, which you'll probably not see again this season. Where Newcastle are scoring worldies, having their own competition for goal of the season, and obviously ASM's went on to win goal of the month as well, which is great. But Newcastle obviously hit the bar later on, Elliot Anderson, and we had a couple of ASM running through on goal as well, so we could have nicked it, but it was an awful game to watch, to be honest. It's not one for the highlights, but to point on the road, it's always 1-1 there, except from the year before. But we moved on. The issue was the striker, because Chris Wood was playing up top. We knew that Callum Wilson was injured from the previous couple of games. Yeah. So going in Anfield was like, okay, when's his work permit coming? When's Isak going to play? Is he going to play? It was counting down, and literally it was only 3 hours before kick-off. It was granted. And with all the injuries as well, were we going in Anfield, that was the only saving light that he's got his permit.
First of all, blame Brexit. That's what I'm saying. He should have played in that game. I've got a Liverpool fan in the same office as me, and I was just like, please, just keep it down. Please, just like, I don't want it to be a cricket score. We had Bruno out, we had ASM out, we had Wilson out, new signing potentially coming in, new to the Premier League as well. I'm like, oh, this is going to be painful. But to be fair, we held our own, went in front.
Just before we talk about, were you surprised with the lineup? Because Lascelles comes out of nowhere. Partners Dan Burn at centre-back, and then Matty Target comes back at left-back. It's like, it's a bit strange. Why is Shea not starting? Why is Botman not starting?
But I like that in the fact that clearly Eddie's seen something in him. Well, obviously he's still captain technically, but he's seen something in him to start him. Like, he's not fully written out of the picture. I know everyone's like, he's fourth choice centre-back now. We've signed Botman, shiny new centre-half, and Dan Burn's still doing his thing. But I like the fact that Lascelles is still holding his own in there, and he still could learn from the likes of Dan Burn. Like, I feel like Dan Burn's probably the best person to partner him in that centre of defence. Because the whole right-sided left should play with a left-sided centre-back and all that rest of it. But also, like, in terms of experience, those are the best two together, I think, for him. I'm not saying in terms of...
I think he had a great game that night, Lascelles, actually.
Yeah, so he did his thing. And, we'll get into the goals now.
Yeah, let's get it. So Isak had a chance earlier on, which he put it over the bar. But there were signs during the game. We knew he had great technical abilities, but, this is his first game. Probably had 2 training sessions. The first one, talk me through that great finish.
Again, I've got to give him his props. Longstaff poked a lovely little ball in. See, I do like Longstaff, before you get onto it. But poked a lovely ball through. Isak took it first time, top bins, and then, just celebrate with the fans. Like, what a way to introduce yourself as the new signing. Do you know what I'm saying?
Great, and it'll be great to see Wilson. Eddie Howe's hinted that you might start 2 of them together, so that could be exciting for the future. Apart from the 2 centre-backs, there wasn't huge surprises with all the injuries in the lineups, but it was a case of, so we've got the lead. Can you hang on? It's tough though, isn't it? Because Firmino equalises.
Is that before we got robbed again by VAR?
Well, we'll come to that in a second.
Okay. I'm just making sure I get the timeline right.
Let's talk about Isak now. Let's just bring it up, because I can't remember myself. Because I don't have the benefit of watching these on replays. I've literally got first look at it. But at the other end of the ground, we've got no idea. We just think it's a great finish, and he took it so well. Yeah. Like he's been playing for 15 years in the top level, and he didn't know it was offside. Liverpool didn't know it was offside, but he took it so well.
Do you know what I mean? He was offside by literally a hair's breadth. It's ridiculous, but the fact that he just took it in his strides. I think he put 2 of their players on their arse, did he?
I think one of them was Van Dijk, wasn't it?
Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? Not bad for your first game at Anfield, right? Against Liverpool of all teams. So, when I saw that, I was like, that was a better take than the actual goal, I think. I think
that's a better goal than the first one.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So the composure to put 2 people on their arse, slot it away, tremendous. But again, robbed by VAR, it's going to be a regular occurrence. We want this apology, by the way. PGMO.
Doesn't deem it with a points tally, but you know, Firmino scored. It was a matter of time, but can we go away from Anfield with a point? We look at our substitutes bench. I look at that. It's Chris Wood, it's Murphy. It's the same players over and over. If it's not Sean, if he starts, he'll be off the bench, and you know, Elliot Anderson, bright spark again, but. This whole carry on right towards the end, because it's a bitter pill to swallow, because it's the only defeat that we've had so far this season. It's come so late. Nick Pope does go down. He is milking it. Newcastle are trying to waste.
You do that anyway.
You do.
You're meant to do that.
So they're wasting time, but he's not down for 3 minutes.
Nah, again, this.
I think it's actually been counted as 94 seconds.
Where all these Scouse mathematicians have come from, I don't know, but everyone's like, oh, he's been down for 3 minutes and the referee added on exactly 3 minutes, so it's fine. Listen, get out of here. The amount of teams that probably done it at so many grounds when you're holding on is a joke for I don't want to. It's still pissing me off to this day. I'm not going to lie. It's still
wait until we get out to Crystal Palace.
Oh, wow. Yeah, exactly. That's another thing. But yeah, absolutely robbed. Again, karma will work its way around. So again, just remember that. You know, we'll clip this up and karma will work its way around. I'm sure it will.
Despite getting robbed, what a performance though that we put in, because I didn't expect that of all the injuries, thinking we'll do well to keep this down here. But we actually grafted and put a performance in. We were struggling to name a man of the match afterwards, because like everyone was like 9s and 10s, even some players. So it goes to show you the performance that Newcastle put in that night, because I was really worried going to Anfield. I think 3-0.
Under Eddie, sorry to put in, but this is where I feel like we've improved the most. When we go up against these big teams, we don't fold. We don't, like, our arse don't fall out, basically. Like, we've put up a fight. We either win or lose by narrow margins, as opposed to, like, even sometimes under Rafa or obviously under Bruce, we lost by cricket scores. So this is where I think we've improved the most in terms of giving it a go against these big time teams, because eventually this is where we're going to be at. We're going to be going into these games thinking, hold a minute, we're Newcastle. Why have we been shying away from you lot for? Do you know what I'm saying? So this is where we improved the most, and I was proud that the fact that we had those 3 big hitters out, and at the same time we only lost by 1 goal in the 98th minute.
Liverpool and Man City struggle to beat Newcastle. Who would have thought, eh? Who would have thought? So, again, fast forward, and it was a home game, and I'm like, yes, I don't have to drive anymore. I can have a week off. So, Dan Burn was back to the bench, the first time he's been on the bench. So, and obviously Botman and Fabian Schär were the 2 centre-backs. So, it'll be interesting to see what happens this weekend at West Ham, who gets the starting berth there. The other changes aren't really surprising. Isak was sensational midweek. You've got to start, and Fraser started again. But I said afterwards, we're battered Palace. I'm still going to stick to that, because I think we battered them. And that game for me is probably the first one this season where I think Eddie Howe should have done a little bit something different there, because I think that's 2 points dropped.
Yeah, you're spot on. Like, come on, we've had this conversation before with Johnny. Like, we should.
Johnny wasn't very impressed with us.
He wasn't impressed at all. But he's got to kind of see it from our point of view. I see it from his point of view. Cool. Like,
the thing is, I'm looking at it just as a one-off, not what's happened before.
Yeah.
I'm looking at today's game. That's it. Looking at that.
Yeah.
Right, okay, we're battering the battering. What can we do to try and change? I get the personnel's not strong on the bench, but even if it's a 21 striker, get that kid on, get him up top, go 2 up top, change it. We didn't do it.
Yeah, Johnny kept talking about, who would you play in the 6? We don't need a fixed 6 against a team that we're battering left, right and centre. Like, it can almost be back to the heydays of Kevin Keegan, just gung-ho, because...
Coming to the VAR, so don't worry.
Yeah, we'll get to that, but... As soon as they were attacking, we won the ball back clean just like that. We didn't need someone to sitting in there. We just needed attacking options, whether it be Wood and Isak together up top, whether it be Elliot Anderson coming on a bit.
Push Joe Litton further up. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So that's all I was trying to get across. It might not have come across properly, and people in the comment section were slating me for it, but I was thinking, rather than just being this fixed formation,
what's new?
What's new? But again, this is football, you know. Everyone has a different set of opinions and all the rest of it. So if you don't like it, it's one of them, innit? But it's just, like you said, trying to find that plan B. Where's that plan B option? It doesn't have to be stuck to that rigid formation, because after a while, we'll get found out. Like, we haven't got no plan B. And especially at home, those are the games that we need to be winning and taking 3 points from.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that's 2 points dropped. The Man City one, you might look at it for another reason, but the Palace one, that's on us. Yeah. We've got to go and break them down. Palace nearly did score, which was an unbelievable save by Pope. Stick his leg out, but apart from that, Palace didn't create much. Again, Zaha, quiet. Eze was subbed off. So, that's their 2 big threats. But we've got to talk about the VAR because it has cost us. When you look at it, if it's not a goal, it has to be a penalty. It has to be. So,
and the fact that he went to the board as well, like, what angle?
Well, he gives the goal first.
Yeah, he gives the goal first, naturally, but then he goes to the board and then changes his mind. Like,
do you reckon Lee Mason said something? Look, you've got to watch it.
What, Lee Mason was the guy in Stockley, yeah?
Yeah, because he's been taken off this weekend.
I don't know what game he was watching at Scott. I think he might have been on some dodgy Pornhub stream or something like that. He wasn't paying attention at all, because if you've got the ability to now watch it back and then you've not given a goal, like, what game are you watching? You can clearly see Willock get pushed in the back into the goalkeeper. The ball's ricocheted off, is it Tyreek Mitchell? Yeah. And got in the back of the net. Everyone can see it.
So what is it for you? See, I think it's a penalty. I don't think it's a goal. I think it's a penalty. Do you think it's a goal? Because you've got to allow play then to carry on.
I think it's a goal. Like, you play on from that situation, because clearly we're pushing the back and you just play on and then it's just ended up in the back of the net. Either or, it's probably going to be a goal. Okay, penalties can be saved, but just give the goal.
I think it's a penalty. I think you've got to give it at least a penalty at the very least. He's pushed them anywhere on the other end of the pitch. Like Ryan Fraser's was softer at Wolves for their disallowed goal than what ours was, because he pushes him in the back. Gaeta is fouled, yes, but that's because he's being pushed by his own man. So it has to be at the very least, a penalty in Newcastle if it's not a goal. We didn't even get any of them. So VAR, obviously, the whole carry on the last couple of days that they're going to review it and all of that.
We missed Isak's chance though in the first half.
Good point. Should have put that away.
Yeah.
I thought he was poor.
Yeah, well, in that instance, yeah. Like,
I thought in general, I think he was sensational. Anfield against Palace, though, I think he was poor. He just wasn't in the game.
Yeah, he wasn't Anfield good, but again, he was still putting himself about. I like the fact that after that opportunity, he still didn't shy away. Some people can go into the shell, I've just missed a sitter in front of the Gallagher. But like I said before, when you throw a goal like that, it's 0-0. You just slot that away. You don't chip the keeper. That's when you're 4-0 up and you're laughing, joking. If I miss it, ha ha ha. But 0-0, through on goal, just put your foot through it, and I'm sure you'll learn for next time.
Yeah, so the VAR stuff is well talked about. Obviously, it's not going to get us any points. We might get a sorry, but that's not good enough. It has gone in our favour, as we've talked about already in this video, but the big decisions, where to goal or not a goal, and 2 points extra, which could move Newcastle up in European place, or it could relegate Crystal Palace. That point might keep Palace up. You know where I'm getting at. The hindsight at the end of the season.
Margins, isn't it? Small margins that account.
It is. It's very small margins, and as I say, have a look at the OneFootball app. Smash the like button, everybody. That app will keep you up to date with all of what's happening this weekend. It even pings literally about 10 seconds after a goal, ahead of any other app as well. But for me and 40, that's been a mini review of the 6 or 7 games so far this season. See you, everyone.